everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and today I'm going to be doing my least favorite books of 2020. First, I want to go through all of the DNFs that I did not finish in 2020. These books usually when I DNF a book, it's either because I didn't like the writing style, I didn't mesh well with it at all, or I just didn't like the characters. So these are the books that I DNF'd. The first one is The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Weingate. I'm actually really sad I couldn't finish this one because the premise sounded so amazing. It was post-Civil War and I was definitely interested in that topic. However, the dialogue in this one, I just could not, I was just getting confused and it was just taking me out of the story, so I just didn't finish that one. Like I said, I'm really sad about it, but it is what it is. So the next one that I did not finish was Wolf Song by TJ Klune. This one was a pretty popular book at the time when I was trying to read it. I read about 25% of it and I just did not like the writing style whatsoever. It felt very choppy and it was like a super thick book too, like 400 pages, and I just don't want to read a book that I just wasn't that interested in, so I did not finish that one. The next one I did not finish was Me Without You by Kelly Rimmer. I went into this one really hoping I was going to love it because I loved her historical fiction. It was actually one of my favorite books of 2020, but her contemporary I just didn't mesh well with at all. I wasn't a big fan of the characters, so I did not finish that one. The next one that I did not finish was This Is Not How It Ends by Rochelle M. Weinstead, and this one I did not like the main character, or I did not like the male character. He was very arrogant, and his love interest, she did not see the red flags, and it was just driving me crazy. And I didn't finish that one because I just did not like those two characters. I want to read about characters that I enjoy, not about characters that I don't like, so I did not finish that one. And the last book that I did not finish in 2020 was American Royals by Katharine McGee. Again, this one is a super popular book. I mentioned last year that YA contemporary, I was just not into it anymore. I was growing out of it. And again, this is why I didn't like this one either. It was too much teenage drama and yeah, I just wasn't a big fan. So those are all of the books that I did not finish, and now I'm going to go through all of the books that I did finish that I didn't like. The first one that I want to talk about is Where the Lost Wander by Amy Harmon. This book I was super interested in reading because it was about the Oregon Trail, and when I was a kid I loved playing that when I was in school, so I was really excited to read this one, but I just was not a fan of this book at all. I was bored most of the time. I felt like the plot dragged a lot and I could not connect with the characters at all. And I really wanted more of the Native American culture. It was like a very small percentage of the book and I really wanted more from that storyline. And there's also a part in this book that I thought was very, very unnecessary and I just didn't like it at all, so I just didn't really like this one, unfortunately. I did read another one of her books last year and really liked it, but this one I was kind of bummed about because I really was interested in the storyline that it was based upon, so yeah. Not one of my favorite books of last year. The next book that I want to talk about is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. This one was marketed as a thriller. However, I did not think this was a thriller at all. I think if it was not marketed as a thriller, I may have liked this one more. But this is about a girl named Sydney. She lives in a predominantly black neighborhood, and then suddenly her neighborhood starts looking different and her black neighbors are disappearing or moving away, and it's becoming more of a white neighborhood. So she starts making like a history tour for their neighborhood. So like I said, this one, I think if it was marketed differently, I would have liked it more. Towards the end, the thrillery part was very, very rushed. It needed to be more drawn out, but yeah, I just wasn't a big fan of this one at all. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This one I was super excited to read, not only because of the content, but also the cover of this book was absolutely gorgeous. This one is about Emira. She is an African American who is a part-time babysitter for this super wealthy white family. And one evening she was asked to watch the older daughter, and she went to get her, and they went to the local corner store, and while they are there, the security guard accuses her of kidnapping the girl that she's watching, the little girl. And someone ends up videotaping this whole situation, and it ends up getting leaked out. This book, I really liked that beginning content of it, like of her getting accused of kidnapping this little girl, but it wasn't a story about that at all, and I was kind of bummed about that, because that's really what I wanted to read about. It was more of about the wealthy mother and like her background, and I just wasn't interested in that storyline at all. So this one I was kind of bummed about. So overall, yeah, I just did not care for that book at all. The next book I'm going to talk about is Making Faces by Amy Harmon. Wow, 2 books by Amy Harmon, I just realized. This one is a contemporary by her. This one is about Fern. She has a crush on this guy. However, she thinks that she is an ugly duckling, and she always is down on herself. And then 9/11 happens, and Ambrose and his friends end up going to war, and while they're there, his friends get killed, and he comes back very scarred on his face. So this is basically a book about like a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So I did not like this one at all. I thought Fern was very, very childish, and I can't stand when people sit there and talk about how ugly they are all the time. It just really got on my nerves, so I did not like this one at all. The next book that I'm going to talk about is Mine Till Midnight by Lisa Kleypas, and this is about Amelia. She randomly meets this guy named Cam while she is trying to find her brother, because her brother is completely devastated because he lost his fiance, so he's always out drinking and he's always disappearing. And then after some time, Amelia and her brother and sisters end up moving into a new home, and she runs into Cam again, and it's their romance. This is a historical romance. I just am not a fan of historical romance at all. I just don't think that genre is for me, so I just didn't like this book at all. I hated the romance with a passion. I did not like it, and I also hated how it was written in like a classical writing style. I don't read classical novels because I'm not a fan of that writing style, so reading this one was just, yeah, I just did not like it at all. I mean, I read historical fiction a lot, and they don't have that type of dialogue in it, so I didn't see why it needed to be in this romance novel. So did not like it. I probably won't pick up any more historical romances because that genre, like I said, is just not for me. The next one I'm going to talk about is The Trouble with Quarterbacks by R.S. Gray. This is a contemporary romance about Candace. She does all kinds of things. She is a teacher by day and a waitress at night, and one day she meets one of her students' uncles, and he's actually a star football NFL quarterback, and it's their romance. I usually love books by this author, but this one I just did not like at all. I didn't like the main character, Candace at all. I thought she was very childish and she was super over the top, and the romance in this book was an insta love, which I absolutely hate that trope. So yeah, I just did not like this romance at all. I was really disappointed because I was really looking forward to this one, but I think I'll read more by this author. Hopefully her newer books are better than this one. The next one that I want to talk about is Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe, and this is about a woman. She's a criminal psychologist and she helps convicted felons. Her new patient is a convicted serial killer, and she starts to get to know him more and she starts falling for him. So the premise of this I was very, very interested in, but this book went in a totally different direction that I did not like at all. And because of that, I hated this book. So I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't want to spoil this book. But yeah, did not like where the book went at all. So that was a no-go for me. The next one I'm talking about are a couple novellas that I read during, I believe it was Smutathon last year. The first one is Pizza My Heart by Frankie Love. This one is about Matt. He walks into a pizza shop and he's instantly attracted to this girl, and he basically asks her to marry him on their first date. No. Hate insta love. Super unrealistic, so no. Hated that one. The last book is The Farmer's Daughter by Jessa Kane. This is about Casey. She just turned 18 and she has a crush on her father's farmhand. And one night she decides to surprise him with nothing on under her robe. And he's not sure about this because he is way older than her. So she stomps off, gets mad. And one day she's like in this field and a new person is getting interviewed for her dad's farm, and she ends up talking to this guy. I don't know. Basically, there ends up being like a threesome between these characters, and I thought this book was super, super problematic. I don't mind age gaps at all, but this one was just not good at all. If you're looking for like a quick, fun, dirty book, this may be for you, but I just didn't like it. I like to read about characters that I enjoy, and I just didn't like this one. So those are all of my least favorite books of 2020. So hopefully in 2021, I don't have as many bad books. Hopefully I read all amazing books, but you know, that's never going to happen when you read multiple books a year. But anyways, so those are my least favorite books. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. See if we had the same feelings about them. And also let me know what some of your least favorite books are. And until then, I will see you in my next video. Bye!